Happy Wednesday. Today we are talking about real estate jargon because it can be very confusing, especially if you don't work in the real estate industry. Another time we will go over jargon specific to contracts. But right now I just want to talk about what the heck we are and why there are so many titles. It doesn't make any sense unless you really know what's going on. So basic ones that we see all the time are, what's the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor? They're often used interchangeably. The Association of Realtors is really picky about this because that's their whole platform, right? So a real estate licensee technically is just someone who holds a real estate license. That's it. They are still bound by laws, but if someone is a realtor, that means that they are a member of the National Association of Realtors. And what comes with that, most of us in practicality really only get it to have access to the MLS. And then also just some information that they send out. They do some lobbying as well. But then they also have a whole set of ethical guidelines that we are also required to follow. So now not only are we bound by law, but we're also bound by ethics. And there are things that are legal but not ethical, and we're not allowed to do any of those. There's always a gray area in there too. I've had a lot of conversations with people, both agents and clients, about how sometimes not everything that's legal is right, and we may disagree with what people are able to do. But this is part of where NAR comes in. So they've established a set of ethics just to take it a little bit further and ensure that we are operating in good faith. We are being basically good coworkers to each other, because it's a very weird field where we're all competitors and coworkers at the same time. So it's making sure that we are operating in a way that is ethical towards our clients and towards our fellow agents. So it's a really basic one of differences. From there, we get into different levels, which can be even more confusing. So you may see someone be a salesperson or an affiliate broker, associate broker, principal broker, and all of it sounds really similar. So we're going to dissect that just a little bit. And it's even more fun because they differ by state. So right now, because the majority of, well, I'm starting to get more Alabama, but the majority of my business is Tennessee and Georgia. That's what the firm myself and my partner own is. I'm going to just focus on those because those are the ones we see most in the Chattanooga area. If you have questions on Alabama, I'll take you down that road as well. But in Tennessee, a new real estate licensee is called a new affiliate. Technically, they're called an affiliate broker. So this is fun because you may see me now say, I'm a broker. Yes, but there's a difference. So if you see affiliate broker, that is someone with a real estate license in Tennessee. They are not over other agents. They hold a license. That's it. It's just terminology. If you see broker, then that means that they've gone a step further. So in order to get your real estate license in Tennessee, you have to do 60 hours of pre-licensing, 30 hours of post-licensing, and you have to pass your state and national exam. And then to keep that, you have to do 16 hours of continuing education every 2 years. So anyone who is an affiliate broker or a licensee in Tennessee has completed all of that, and they continue to learn. Now, there are things that you can learn constantly to continue to improve your skill set and knowledge base. Some of those come with specific specialties or designations or certificates. Other times they don't. So don't take it as that person has only done that much. Most of us do way more. But then the difference from there is to get your broker's license in Tennessee. You have to sit through a broker management course and take your broker exam. From there, in your first 3 years, you have to take 120 hours of continuing education. And that's just the bare minimum. That doesn't count all these specialties that we like to get into. So think of it as, I like to think of it as like an associate's versus a bachelor's, right? Now someone can say, oh, I have a degree, and it's correct, but what degree is it? What level? What specialties? So you can really dive into all of this in the real estate industry, and it's really interesting because you can specialize in different things and you can continue to go further in your career. So someone who is a broker has done these extra things. They generally have more experience. They have a higher knowledge base. It's them showing up and saying, hey, I know what I'm doing, and I've gone to the next level in my licensing to be able to showcase that. From there, there's still a distinction between a broker and a principal broker. The principal broker just means that they are essentially a manager. They're in charge of everyone over a specific real estate firm and legally responsible for them. As far as the education, everything's the same as a regular broker. The only distinction is that when someone does something wrong, guess who's also on the hook? Principal broker. Now in Georgia, it's different. It's the same levels, but in Georgia, a licensee is called a salesperson. When someone gets their broker's license, they're called an associate broker. And then if they are the one that is over the firm, then they're called a managing broker. So it can be really confusing, but just keep in mind, affiliate broker or salesperson is licensee. And then broker or associate broker means they went to the next level. And then if they're managing or a principal broker, that means they're over everyone else. And the reason I bring this up is not necessarily to be like, ooh, I'm way up here. Because again, it's just licensing. There are so many people who are just a licensee who've been doing this as long as I've been alive. They continue to learn new things, and they are phenomenal. So don't necessarily take that as that meaning if they don't have a broker's license, they don't know what they're talking about. There are a lot of avenues of education you can take in this. However, if they're basically the one where you're like, hey, I want to talk to your manager, then they have to be a principal or managing broker. I hope that has been a little bit helpful. It can be, again, very confusing. If you have questions on that, let me know. At the same time, just want to go ahead and clarify that a little bit, because I know that you guys see now all the time when I say I'm principal managing broker and co-owner, it just means that I have more bills and more responsibility. And if someone messes up, then I have to deal with it as well. So take it with a grain of salt. But I hope that that has created some clarity. Also keep in mind, again, you can do different certificate the specializations and designations. So there are some people who specifically are geared towards veterans or probate or first-time home buyers, or specifically a buyer's agent or a listing agent or commercial. There's a residential real estate specialist program that you can do that, honestly, that's really more like a master's degree, where you run through a ton of different specialized courses and become just this general wealth of knowledge. That's what I'll be working on when I'm done with my 120 hours, but this first. So if you are someone who really wants to make sure they have great representation, go ahead and ask the agents you're interviewing what their license level is, what certifications they have, what extra education they've taken, because some people will literally take the same courses every 2 years just to fulfill that 16-hour requirement. Other people are constantly in these courses. Personally, I am a residential real estate probate specialist. So if you are looking into how to make it easiest for your family when you go, or what to do if you've had a family member who's passed, and whether or not you need to probate and what that um, process looks like, I know just enough to help with it. You're still going to need a probate attorney. I definitely recommend talking to an estate attorney long before that time comes. If you need one, I have a great one. But those are just some of the things that we do. Luxury has a distinction as well. Most people don't care that it exists, but it does teach you a little bit more on how to market a luxury home, and also pricing them. There's one I'm working with right now, and there's literally nothing like it. And most of the time when you get multi-million dollars, there's nothing like that house specifically. So you really need to know pricing beyond going, hey, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in decent condition within a mile of this 3-bedroom, 2-bath in decent condition. There's a lot more that goes into it. So again, I always feel like I tend to ramble, but now you know a little bit of the levels, at least in Tennessee and Georgia, and also that is just the very, very surface. So if you are an agent and looking for a real estate company, I'm happy to talk to you as well. I think it's very important that these things are explained, because it took me probably a good year into my career before I realized all of the things that I could get certified in. I obviously knew that I could take courses to learn more, but I didn't know that there were necessarily these separate distinctions, designations. So even if I'm not your broker, if you have one that is busy all the time, I'm happy to talk with you through it. And maybe we're a good fit for each other, and maybe we're not. And either way, I'm always here to help anyone in the industry or anyone who needs a real estate professional. So have a great Wednesday, and I will see you all next week. That may be the one where we're talking about contract jargon, because I do love contracts. Or if there's something else that comes up and seems really, really important to talk about on the spot, I may shift and do something else. So stay tuned, and I will see you all